The year is 2016 and the landscape of rap was changing. Positioned right at the beginning of SoundCloud Rap's peak popularity, the general public was torn about the future of hip-hop. On one hand, SoundCloud Rap's ushering in of mumble and emo sounds into the mainstream was looked at with confusion, with many devaluing the artistry of the subgenres. Old heads saw artists like Lil Pump and Designer as the death of real hip-hop, with their repetitive choruses and ad-libs, shoddy mixing, and lack of lyrical substance seeming to devalue the effort and care put into older releases. On the other hand, artists were simply using sites like SoundCloud to take control of the distribution process, solidifying independent releases in the mainstream by building on the groundwork laid by the blog era and ringtone rap releases years earlier. Rap is a genre built on circumstance and surroundings, and with the advent of the internet and social media on the rise with apps like Vine and TikTok, the catchy choruses and repetitive lyrics made for perfect viral moments that would launch tons of artists into the stratosphere. Paired with bright colored hair, face tattoos, and a barrage of ad-libs, artists like Lil Yachty, 21 Savage, and Lil Uzi Vert were able to take center stage by creating a lane for themselves that was so different from their contemporaries. So when it was time for XXL's yearly freshman list to come out, it was met mostly with disgust. In the past, the XXL list was used to highlight the best up-and-coming lyricists who the publication thought were going to be the future of the genre, but the cynicism 2016's class was met with was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Comparing them to past lists, though, their picks are so far from the heavy hitters that had begun to dominate hip-hop. Artists like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole are some of the best technical rappers in the industry, and when comparing them directly to the mumble rap wave of the late 2010s, their contrast is even greater. In reality, though, 2016's freshman class served as a turning point for the genre. Hip-hop is a genre defined by clear eras, and while subgenres like mumble rap had been bubbling in the years leading up to 2016, with artists like Future laying the groundwork for much of the class's sound, artists like Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, and Kodak Black were trailblazers in evolving the trap sound that had taken over rap. With the freshman list dating back to 2007, in the years leading up to 2016, an era of blog-centric lyrical rap had taken over the genre, and the rise of trap music had started to seep into popular music. So while the artists on 2016's list were hated on by people not on board with the way the genre was moving, understanding the circumstances around the music they were making helps give context to the shift rap was about to make. Subgenres like emo rap that came from influences like Kanye West's 808s and Heartbreak, with the addition of guitar tinges and melodies from bands like Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, and Paramore, were made possible through avenues like SoundCloud and YouTube. This democratization of music was something that had been developing through the previous blog era of rap, with the importance of record labels and traditional ways of marketing becoming de-emphasized, but the ushering in of SoundCloud rap thrust artists directly into the mainstream. Because of all of this, on paper, the entire concept of a cypher with the 2016 list's artists seems bizarre. These are artists coming from a genre that emphasized melodies and hooks over concrete lyricism, and while a cypher demonstrating an artist's technical ability might make sense for someone like Chance the Rapper or Joey Badass, at the time it was hard for XXL's core audience to get behind the idea of 21 Savage and Lil Yachty trading bars. In practice, though, the uniqueness of this class and the perceived camaraderie of the group led to not only one of the most fun cyphers ever recorded, but a freshman list where, for the most part, everybody stuck. In a way, though, participating in a cypher for a traditional media outlet feels like an olive branch to the old heads that doubted them. These are artists who came up through social media, built cult followings, and capitalized on viral moments and trends. They don't need to prove themselves, but their ability to create viral moments led to far and away the biggest video on XXL's entire channel. A rapper like Denzel Curry feels at home here, but you can tell even Yachty and Lil Uzi Vert tried their best to conform to the medium. And 21 Savage, someone whose flow might be repetitive for some, not only has a verse that feels authentically him, but has the backing ad-libs from the entire group that make the cypher avoid the trend of trying to out-rap everybody else. And even though Kodak Black's verse is less than 30 seconds long, the way he called out DJ Drama's beat selection, one of the most important figures in the previous generation of hip-hop, led to one of the most viral moments XXL has ever had. And while the entire 2016 freshman class was clowned on upon its reveal, it ended up having more staying power than 99% of the publication's list. Even the less lucrative picks like Dave East and Designer weren't the worst they've ever had, with Dave East's acclaimed acting debut as Method Man in Hulu's Wu-Tang show, and Designer being responsible for one of the most iconic tracks of the 2010s. For the wins, though, Lil Uzi Vert and 21 Savage would go on to have banner years with EXO Tour Life topping charts, and 21 Savage's debut album and collab project Without Warning dropping, as well as his iconic feature on Post Malone's single Rockstar. Anderson .Paak would quickly become a Grammy magnet, and Denzel Curry would garner a cult fan base while helping establish Florida's sound. Kodak Black would become a platinum artist with tracks like ZZ and Roll in Peace, and G Herbo would release a string of Billboard top 10 albums. In arguably the biggest 180 of the list, Lil Yachty would release his psych rock crossover album album Let's Start Here and a string of some of the best singles to come out of the SoundCloud generation, and Lil Dicky would become a TV icon with his show Date. And while that's a lot, it really goes to show how successful this class went on to be when everybody was doubting them. If you had told people back in 2016 even half of these accomplishments, most of them would think you're lying, but it just goes to show how embracing new mediums, new sounds, and new ideas have created avenues for success. Even though it's not a perfect cypher by any means, the lightning in a bottle nature of it all is something that can't be replicated, no matter how hard XXL may try. 2016's freshman list was clearly put out at a turning point for hip-hop, one that not only changed the sound of the genre, but also played into its mainstream heyday. And while you can't attribute hip-hop turning pop to just these artists, their influence is undeniable. The SoundCloud era of hip-hop might be over, and the artists represented on this list might just be a taste of its heavy hitters, but the sounds and groundworks they made have seeped into everything about the music industry today. Whether it be how artists market themselves, how genres cross over, or what gimmicks can work in a post-internet world. So even though it was hated on release, this video was undoubtedly the cypher that changed hip-hop forever. Thanks so much for watching, consider subscribing if you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.